It all started with the smell of gasoline, a sharp, bitter scent that lingered in the cool September air, the kind of smell that meant something terrible had just happened. For Amanda Clonch, that smell would forever mark the end of her relationship with Travis McCracken, a man she once thought she loved, and the beginning of one of the most bizarre days of her life, standing before the legendary Judge Judy, trying to explain how a breakup had turned into an inferno of lies, rage, and damaged property. Amanda and Travis had been together for only 6 months, but those 6 months had been a whirlwind of arguments, apologies, and uneasy peace. She had moved 4 hours away from her family to live with him, bringing along all her belongings, including a bedroom set she'd cherished for over 14 years. It wasn't a lavish life, but it was a shared one. Amanda handled the housework, the laundry, and the dogs, while Travis ran his air duct cleaning business. He was the breadwinner. She was the homemaker. That was their rhythm, until it all went up in flames. Quite literally. The trouble began with a van, a 2004 Dodge Caravan that Amanda claimed she bought for $1,200 after selling her old 1996 BMW. Travis, however, told a different story. He said he paid $300 for the van and accused Amanda of pocketing the extra $100. She hasn't had a job or paid taxes in 9 years, he told Judge Judy with the kind of smug certainty only the guilty seem to have. Amanda, on the other hand, held her ground. She said she used the money from the sale of her BMW and help from her mother to pay for it. Judge Judy, sharp as ever, wasn't convinced. So far, now you're going into territory I put over in this category. Not truthful, the judge said, her voice slicing through the courtroom tension like a knife. But it wasn't just about money. The van had become a symbol of everything that went wrong between them. On September 16, 2013, after what Amanda described as one hell of a fight, Travis lost control of his temper. Fueled by anger and pride, he grabbed a can of gasoline and poured it over the van, drenching the paint, the windows, the metal, everything. He didn't light it, but the act itself spoke volumes. It was violence without fire, destruction without flame. He has a very bad temper, Amanda told Judge Judy. He poured gas over my car and damaged the paint. Travis didn't deny it. In fact, he tried to justify it. He claimed it was his van because he paid for it. It was my van, my business, he said. She wanted to destroy my business, so I told her I'd destroy it. Judge Judy leaned forward, eyes locked on him. It wasn't your van, Mr. McCracken. It wasn't in your name, she said firmly. Travis fumbled, stammered, but there was no getting out of it. The law was simple. If the title wasn't in his name, it wasn't his car. Amanda had an estimate that said the damage would cost around $800 to fix, but Judge Judy wasn't buying it. If you think I'm going to give you $800 for a $1,200 car that's now a year older, you're operating in some other zone, she said. Instead, she awarded Amanda a symbolic $100, a slap on the wrist for Travis, and a small victory for Amanda. That's to say, no, Mr. McCracken, you shall not do that again. But the van was only part of the story. Amanda also wanted compensation for a bedroom set, the one she'd had for nearly 15 years, inherited from a dear friend who'd passed away. When she fled Travis's house after the gasoline incident, she left much of her furniture behind. The court had granted her an order of protection, and with a sheriff's deputy by her side, she returned to collect her belongings. She took pictures of everything she left behind, including the bedroom set, intending to return later for the rest. But when she came back 27 days later, the bed and matching bench were gone. Travis claimed he had simply moved the furniture to the garage. She left my house in rumbles, he said defensively. I put it outside with the rest of her stuff. Judge Judy didn't hesitate. Then you're responsible for it, she said. You have an obligation to preserve it. He tried to argue, but it was useless. His temper, his poor decisions, and his inability to take responsibility had all caught up to him. Amanda explained that she'd taken her time returning because she was trying to figure out the legal process, how to secure her restraining order, how to make sure she was protected. She spoke calmly, but her words carried years of exhaustion and frustration. "When I went back with the same sheriff's deputy, the bed and the bench were gone," she said. Judge Judy didn't need more proof. "You had an obligation to preserve the property," she told Travis again. "You didn't. You got rid of it. You're responsible." Travis's defense fell apart piece by piece. He tried to deflect, calling Amanda manipulative and accusing her of conning people. But the facts spoke louder. He admitted to pouring gasoline, admitted to moving her things, and admitted that the restraining order against him was real. "Did the judge give her a restraining order?" Judge Judy asked. "Yes," he replied reluctantly. "Of course," she said with the faintest hint of disbelief that he even tried to deny what was obvious. The courtroom was silent except for the steady hum of the cameras and the occasional rustle of papers. Travis looked defeated. Amanda, though tired, looked relieved. Not because she was winning money, but because someone finally believed her. For her, this wasn't about the $1,600 Judge Judy would eventually award. It was about justice, about acknowledgement. Judge Judy wrapped up the case with her usual finality. "I'm going to award you $1,500 for the bedroom set and $100 for the car," she said. Then, turning to Travis, she dismissed his counterclaim, his attempt to argue that Amanda owed him for a personal loan tied to the van. "Your counterclaim is dismissed," she said firmly. As the bailiff, Bird, announced that the parties were excused, Amanda walked out of the courtroom lighter than she had entered. Travis mumbled something about manipulation and lies, but no one cared. The cameras didn't follow him. They followed her. She wasn't the perfect victim, Judge Judy had made that clear, but she was a survivor of a chaotic relationship that spiraled out of control. In the end, Amanda didn't get her car back. She didn't get her old life back either, but she got something far more valuable: closure. The $1,600 wasn't going to replace the memories or the trust she'd lost, but it was enough to remind her that the law was on her side. She could finally move on, knowing that her story, one of gasoline, anger, and a stubborn man who refused to see reason, had found its ending under the sharp gaze of Judge Judy. And somewhere, in that courtroom echoing with the judge's last words, the lesson lingered. Tempers burn faster than gasoline, but truth, in the end, always leaves the last mark.